Don't use benefit claimants as scapegoats in the budget, as 60 activist groups have told the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves. I'm going to read into this exclusive from iNews, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an exclusive from iNews with the headline that don't use benefit claimants as scapegoats in the budget, 60 activist groups have told the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves. Language around clamping down on the cost of benefits is damaging and stigmatising for those entitled to support from the state, charities have warned. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share it across social media so others are notified of this video. And they're absolutely right. When you continue to push down on the poorest and those who are struggling the most in society, you disincentivize people who are entitled to benefits, who need those benefits to get them. You disenfranchise those people who desperately need them. It's ridiculous to make it harder for them, to appease a small minority of people who have this problem. And there are many people out there who are on benefits not because they want to, but because they have to, because of circumstances. There could be all sorts of circumstances. There could be people with disabilities, people who need it. There could be people on care work because they don't get enough on their work. There could be people who are in that situation because of COVID. Some of them are on long-term COVID and they've been struggling ever since COVID-19 pandemic and they need those benefits, for example. There are some of those people who are in this situation because they've had a breakup with a partner, they've lost a job. That's all sorts of these reasons of why people claim benefits. Yeah. Now, there is always a tiny majority in any country, any government. There's always going to be a tiny majority of people who will claim benefits and not attempt to make to work in life or whatnot. But it's a very tiny majority. The vast majority of people want to contribute and take part in society, and we are punishing the majority over a very selective few in society. That's what this is about, and it's not right in any way, shape, or form. And we need to call out for what it is. And the language that Labour are using are appealing to are trying to appeal to a minority of British voters. And people can scream all they want online about this, but you are the minority when you say that benefits are the biggest problem in society. You also need to understand is that because of our healthcare system, in the crisis that it's in particular the National Healthcare Service in England and Wales in particular, because it's been left to rot by the 14 years of Conservatives, it meant more people claiming benefits because people weren't able to work because they couldn't get the healthcare and treatments that they need, which is why we have such a massive backlog and it needs to be cleared. Hence why there's been a lot of talk about perhaps the NHS getting more funding than will get more funding than any other department in this upcoming budget, allegedly. So let's read more into this. So, suggesting welfare is out of control stigmatises those who rely on it. The Chancellor has been warned that she was urged against making cuts to benefits. Language around clamping down on the cost of benefits is damaging and stigmatising for those entitled to support from the state, charities have said. Ahead of the budget, they cautioned against scapegoating benefit claimants by hitting them with sweeping cuts or punch-it measures. Rachel Reeves has said difficult decisions will be taken around welfare and signalled that she wants to find savings by reducing some support. Basically, leave people out on the cold, basically, because that's how else are you going to find savings in this situation? But in a letter sent to the Chancellor by charity Turn to Us, backed by 63 organisations, including Amnesty International UK, Mind and the Joseph Rowntree Foundation, Mrs. Reeves has warned that it's untrue to suggest that the welfare bill is out of control. It points to working age benefits have not increased in line with the cost of living for most people for the past decade, and it argues the focus of unemployment ignores the fact that 40% of universal credit claimants are in work. Turn to Us wants the government to reverse the two-child cap for benefit claims and support a campaign for level for universal credit to be increased to include an essential guarantee, which will mean that benefits cannot fall below a requirement to cover basic needs. And this is the problem. We have a lot of people who are on benefits who can't even afford basic needs anyway. Do you have a situation where people are literally trying to survive to get by? It's shameful, especially with a country that's supposedly as wealthy as ours as well. Shelley Hopkinson, head of policy, told I that negative language around welfare seeps into policy decisions and does harm to benefit claimants. I would ask the Chancellor to consider the narrative she leans on next week and not use it to either justify sweeping cuts or punishment measures, as opposed to actually having a conversation about reform, she says. Responding to the decision by the government to continue with the planned welfare cuts worth around $3 billion, she said people with experiences of welfare should be consulted. Last week, the government confirmed it will continue with cuts between 1.3 and $3 billion by reforming the Work Capabilities Assessment, the WCA, but was unable to offer details what the reforms would look like. The Work and Pension Secretary Liz Kendall pledged radical reform to get 1.84 million inactive people back into work, but without providing detail. Previously, Kendall has said she was not in favour of ramping up sanctions to force people into work. Ms. Hopkins has said there is the idea that the benefits bill is out of control rather than the conversation about looking at the system behind this. Health and care reform is needed to be part of addressing the rise in claims, and we need more holistic approach that is focusing on financial security rather than short-term cuts which could lead to people situations escalating. In the letter, Reeves was told pro-social security narrative should be adopted across government to give people the confidence to access the support they are entitled to. We're already seeing some welcome change in the way government talks about social security, including Liz Kendall's recent commitment to end the culture of blaming people who are out of work, moving away from anti-welfare rhetoric directed at people who need support, the letter said. In July, Kendall said in a speech that some claimants have been excluded from work and labelled and blamed for the position that they are in. Negative language around welfare can manifest in politics, which can, in turn, directly harm the economy and social well-being of people and communities we support, the letter says. Yeah, there have been a lot of stigmatising by the Conservatives, by many on the right who are stigmatised and knocked down on people who are struggling, as opposed to not pointing out to the fact, why don't we take more money from the rich and the wealthy rather than from the poorest in society? Just saying. Suggestions that the welfare bill is out of control aren't only inaccurate, they directly contribute to harmful narratives. It went on. We are asking you to focus on the root causes of the challenges we face and resist a divisive rhetoric to justify policy choices. Together we can ensure the story of the social security system is one that helps people in our economy to thrive. Just as we rely on the NHS, we should be proud of a social security system that's fair, compassionate, is there for us when we need it. And we have lost a lot of compassion in the last 14 years. We have lost a lot of compassion we hope that this government has some kind of compassion when it comes to people in the situations that they're in, and they will think more about the causes of why people are in these situations as opposed to just trying to cut. And it is essentially austerity if you are going to try and cut the welfare state. But you need to also understand why people are in the situation that they are in as well. And to think that by getting more people back into work, that you're going to reduce the unemployment rate, get more, reduce the necessity of work that we need in our society is not going to solve the issue, because a lot of employment that we need are actually people from abroad because we don't have enough of our own here in the UK, particularly here in England. We just don't have the workforce. You are only putting tiny sticky plasters on a big wound when it comes to this situation. And not only that, there needs to be careful consideration about people's well-beings when bringing them back into work. Now, to say that there aren't people who are in these situations that can't go back to work, absolutely, there can be people that go back to work, but there is a way to do it. And the rhetoric, they are adopting some rhetoric, but it's less toned than what the Conservatives are doing, but it is still a cause for concern, that is for sure. But what do you guys think? What do you guys make of the claimant benefit scapegoat? What do you think of these activists who are claiming that? Do you agree with them and myself that Labour need to be less harsh and less tone on better people in benefits, and actually be looking to point the finger more at the rich and the wealthy in society, who are scumming you, me, and everyone off, not just in the UK, but around the world? Let me know your thoughts and more down in the comments section below. If you found this video interesting, please hit the like button. I greatly appreciate it. Share it across social media to others notified of this video. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider subscribing, because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further, financially support me and the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p, or join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.